How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Heavy Middle number 305. This is a pretty cool issue, and let's go ahead and take a look at the front cover first. And it's this really cool portrait cover by Frankfursetta. There's the signature at the bottom, and yeah, you get the Heavy Middle logo. Designed to look like it's shaded in with a pencil to match this pencil portrait cover. You know, you get the standard imagery that's usually on a Heavy Middle cover, but I do like that every now and then they give us something different to shake things up once in a while. Although I'm sure next issue we'll be back to standard imagery. But hey, this is a nice different cover. We open it up, we get to see the ad, Heavy Middle is now monthly, which is cool. And then we flip to the page after the ad, and that'll be your table of contents, and we can see what all is in this magazine. And you also get a look at the magazine's variant cover if you want a more traditional Heavy Middle cover. That's the surgery cover. And then your credits down there at the bottom. You can pause if you want to read them. Now, I am going to take a look at the stories, but that being said, for the sake of time, I'm not going to cover the multi-chapter stories that aren't in part 1. But just so you know what they are, we have The Rise Chapter 3, that's the George C. Romero one. We have Darkwing Chapter 5. We have Maiden Chapter 4, Savage Circus Chapter 5. Now, in addition to that, we have new ones, which I will cover because they are in Chapter 1, and that's Swamp God, the very first story, Chapter 1, and Queensberry, Chapter 1 as well. So, now let's go ahead and jump right into the stories. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want you guys to have a basic understanding as to what the stories are about, and I do want to say my piece on a few plot points. So, Swamp God, Chapter 1, open up with this really nice picture of a cabin in the Louisiana swamp. We jump into the action, and we find that this story is actually set during the Civil War. We see a black guy getting surrounded by some Confederate troops, and they're going to try to catch him, but it turns out that this was all a trap, and you get a whole squad of black northern troops that are going to save him there. And it turns into a pretty fun action story. Kind of plot-wise, it's a standard revenge story, and it's cool enough, but the plot, you know, it's scenes we've seen before, that is until the ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but they do introduce a magical element, which I felt really helped shake this plot up and make it into something new, and I'm really curious where it's going to go in issue 2. Up next, we have Vastor and Crunch. We get to see these, I'm not sure, Roman, I guess? I'm not sure if they're Greek or Roman, but a battle play out while the superiors are watching from a distance on their horses. And we flip the page, and we get to see your lead characters in the midst of this big battle there. Vastor and Crunch, the two prominent figures, doing a lot of the battling. They're really good battlers, and you get to see all the limbs flying up over the trees there. So that's pretty cool. And then you get a bit after the battle with both the warriors and the higher ups. Kind of a story that, you know, not a bunch of big revelations, but a cool atmosphere that it sets up, and you get to look at these different sets of characters. So that's pretty fun. You also get the Frankfursetta Interview, and you get some nice pictures of him in his childhood there. So that's pretty fun. And another illustration by Frankfursetta, this cool guy with the axe, this warrior character. So a pretty fun thing there. Moving right along, we have this next story called Crypt Walker. Now, I was thinking, Crypt Walker, that this might be something like the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, but despite a few design choices being a little similar, this has nothing to do with that. He's not going to tell you any scary stories, but you get this guy, he's roaming this weird and strange earth with, both magic and sci-fi stuff. He's been tasked to save this girl who is going to be a cult sacrifice, and you get this fun action scene, and you get to see this really loud art that really pops, lots of really bright colors. Now, the thing is, this story starts off, it seems like it's going to be relatively simple, but then you get all this stuff with, the people of the old world and the Crypt Walker's history and what happened to the world and all this magic stuff. There is a lot crammed into this, and it's a very short story, and you're like, whoa, okay, we're getting lost in some very complex lore. Now, at the end of it, it says in chapter, even though this didn't say chapter 1, so I'm wondering if there's going to be more to this, if he's going to come back, but there's a lot crammed into that story that really kind of, bogs it down. But that being said, let's move on. We have a 2-page prose story, The Grasping Dark by Mark McMahon there. And it's this sort of monologue about how human progress is built on lives of others, and how, everything is kind of, inevitable, and, a weird little monologue that you might expect like a villain to recite. But yeah, not really a story. Interesting enough, but hey, it's a little 2-page thing. Up next, another all new, another chapter 1, the Queensberry Company episode 1. So not the table of contents just listed it as Queensberry, but this is Queensberry Company, and you get to see this army guy with his little Cerebus dog there, which is always nice. I love dogs. But you get to see he's having remorse for all the crazy stuff he had to do in battle, but you find out that this guy's not going to show it to anybody, and he keeps this really reserved, and he's not going to show anybody when he's upset, and he plays the part of a tough sergeant. Now, the humans have been at war with the mythical people for a long time, and they've recently relatively reached a peace there, and he's going to be leading a bunch of mythical troops to show that they can all work together. And you do actually get a bunch of really complex ideas there. He's a sergeant, he's supposed to be tough, but also, what is the relationship between humans and the mythicals, but also not all the mythicals are the same. There's a bunch of different species here, and there's actually a bit of a complex backstory. And knowing that this is going to be a multi-chapter thing, I'm looking forward to seeing how these are all going to be fleshed out. But you get basic training, and you get to see them, and who they are, all the different people. But of course, while they're gone on a training mission, the base is attacked, and they have to go into the base again and try to save the rest of the soldiers. But it's going to get to be a deep and dark a story, a war story, and yeah, some pretty brutal action at the end of this. Overall, really curious to see where this one goes, because yeah, it's a multi-chapter story with a big world that's going to really warrant all those multi-chapter stuff. Up next, we have a story. Gonna be careful not to show you any of this last page here. YouTube wouldn't like it, but this story is called Off. and you get this story where it's an average American town, and there's reports of these weird small creatures, and this guy, he looks out of his house. You get these reports on the news, and he sees this little guy running around. And the thing is, these little creatures have been spotted, and when they get you, you appear a little different. You appear kind of off, So it's sort of one of those secret invasion style stories, but plus a bunch of fun little creatures. It really does have the feel of a classic random heavy metal adventure, and it does get pretty cool and pretty gory, but I don't want to spoil any of the ending of you. It was a really fun surprise. Up next, I want to actually show you this ad. Heavy metal coffee is here. Drink coffee, stay up late, and read more heavy metal. And then you get the bag, and you got Tarna on the bag there. Get caffeinated from Dark Matter Coffee of Chicago, USA. That's just really a funny idea that they're doing a heavy metal coffee. Anyway, the final story here, you get this robot. He just wakes up and he slides out of their little robot making construction machine, and he meets this other robot who names him Ash, and he's like, I just made you, and the story is called Cyber Anarchy, and he slides out of his little pod there, and the other robot shows him around this big ship, and he's like, oh hey, here's our ship, here's how our culture works. And then really early on, you find the big twist with this story, this nice double page spread here, but you see the ship is stuck in the gravitational field of Lino 4, and it's inescapable, and in 24 hours the ship is going to be pulled into this star and everybody destroyed. And he's like, why did you make me? I only have 24 hours to live. And they're all like, everybody dies sometime. And you really do get to see the attitude of this ship and the robot culture being very different than ours, yet having some similarities. And you get a lot of these double page spreads, and like this one, the ship, you have to turn it sideways to see all these robots. And I really love this robot with this angry face. He's really cool. But yeah, you do get to see this sort of fun sort of commentary on society through this weird robot lens, but the idea that they have 24 hours left and no one really cares. They just go about their business because, they're robots, and you do get to find out a little bit about their past in a fun flashback sequence. See if I can find, yeah, and how basically they just decided to stop working for the organics, and the organics just died because they couldn't live without them. So no violence, no big war, they just stopped, and then everybody died because of that, which is a fun concept there. This one actually is a pretty long story, lots of room to breathe, and I really did like that because you really got to see a whole bunch of this weird robot culture that is both similar and different to ours. It's a really interesting story, and I really did like that one. So that is Heavy Metal number 305. A lot to like in here. A lot of it, was those continuations of old stories, and I in general prefer the anthology style rather than the whole bunch of continuation stories, but it is what it is. And the ones that are in here were pretty good, and the two new continuing stories did both leave me interested. I really do want to see where they're going, because it seemed like they each had a unique little twist on it. But overall, Heavy Metal 305, pretty good, and I really did like that last story, and I did like the others quite a bit too. So I definitely recommend it if you're heavy metal fans. Book staying as good as it has been lately, and overall a pretty fun issue. So to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping out the channel. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom if you want to see more stuff. There'll also be I think I'll probably put my heavy metal playlist there. If you want to see more heavy metal stuff that I've reviewed, it'll be in that playlist, including last issue, 304. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom.